dry bones. Once again it's died. It's the secret of the ages, and it's time to be revived. And the promises I am not dead, just love. 'Cause you're alive. You are Israel, my firstborn son. You are Israel, my chosen one.
Do you want to understand the events of the end of days? Then we must go on a journey back to the future. We must search and study our past to understand our future destiny. We must go back to the beginning, to the books of Genesis and Exodus and the prophets. Why study the historical events in Genesis, Exodus, and the prophets? Here is why. A key Torah principle we need to understand is this: the events that happened to our forefathers, the patriarchs, are a foreshadowing and a prophecy of what will happen to us, their descendants. Or, to say it another way, biblical history is prophecy. The historical events described in Genesis, Exodus, and the prophets are a prophetic blueprint and template for future events. In the course, Patterns of Exile and Redemption in Genesis, you will learn how the events in Genesis foreshadow the course of biblical and modern history. The events associated with Adam and Eve, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob all foreshadow the exile of the nation of Israel into the nations and their future redemption through the Messiah. Another key Torah principle is this: the Torah is written in code, and it is a parable about the end of days. There is a deeper meaning to the Torah than just the literal surface-level meaning. The Torah is in code, and its deeper meaning is hidden through such things as a prophetic parable. The full understanding of the Torah has been sealed up and hidden from our understanding until the last generation. Give ear, O my people, to my Torah. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of Yahweh and his strength and his wonderful works that he has done. Psalm 78, verses 1 to 4. The generation to come, that is us, the last generation. This last generation will decipher, crack the code, and understand the code, and uncover the hidden meaning, so we can prepare for and be ready for the end of days and the second coming of the Messiah. Yeshua told us that the Torah, the prophets, and the Psalms testify of him. How do they testify of him? In parables, in patterns, in principles, in hints, and in allusions. The very heart of the Torah is communicated at the deeper spiritual level, called in Hebrew the sod meaning. In the course Patterns of Exile and Redemption in Exodus, you will learn that the judgments upon Egypt are a foreshadow and a prophecy of what will happen in the judgment of the nations in the end of days. Ezekiel 38:22 says, "It is written, And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood. I will rain upon him and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. All of the plagues of Egypt are a foreshadow and a prophecy of what will happen in the judgment of the nations in the end of days. Historically, what happened in Egypt foreshadows what will happen to Gog and Magog. Here is a Torah principle of redemption. When the God of Israel redeems his covenant people, all those who are standing outside the covenant are permitted to be included in the redemption if they choose to do so. This is the tent of the house of Jacob. In other words, those from the nations, all the whosoevers in the world, may be included in Yeshua's covenant redemption unto the nation of Israel. Finally, in our journey, we will look at the pattern of exile and redemption in the prophets. In this study, we see a pattern of exile and redemption emerge. What is the pattern? Sin causes punishment and exile to come upon the children of Israel. They are afflicted and oppressed by their captors. They cry out to Yahweh and repent. Yahweh redeems his people. The ultimate redemption is the end of the exile when the Messiah gathers his people back to the land of Israel. In our journey through the prophets, we learn what the prophets reveal to us about the final redemption, also known as the Greater Exodus. As the exiles of Israel repent, Yahweh will hear, and he promises to remember his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Throughout the prophets, we see Yeshua promises to gather his repentant bride at the end of days. He will lead her on a journey home to the land of Israel, cloud by day and pillar of fire by night. The uniting of Judah, or southern kingdom, to Ephraim, or northern kingdom, after being exiled into the nations is something that is prophesied by almost all the prophets, including Amos, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Hosea, Micah, and Zechariah. Do you want to understand what to watch for as we approach the end of days? Do you want to understand what time is it on God's prophetic time clock? Do you want to understand what your role is in the end of days as they approach? Take these courses and you will have a solid foundation on this timeless topic.
Israel, my firstborn son, you are Israel, my chosen one, and how I long to gather you in my arms and hold you. I am waiting for your return. I am waiting for your return.